guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. Sounds like this guy's in his mid-30s. He's been married for 10 years. He has a daughter who's like 3 years old. And it sounds like, based on his description, up until recently, he's had a darn good marriage. Cool wife, lots of good things, great mom. But recently, there's trouble in paradise. You see, recently his wife gave him an ultimatum. Never good. Dealing with a situation that's a very big, important deal to him. The wife has a special needs sister who's 19 right now, and presently her mom, his wife's mom, takes care of her. Well, the thing came up in the conversation of what happens when mom's not around, and we obviously have to take care of the girl. Well, you see, recently they moved to the Midwest from the West Coast. Where they live, things were getting bad with crime, and the husband here said, we're getting out of here. And he made the right choice. It's a vastly nicer place to live, no crime, you can protect yourself, a law and order location in the Midwest, lower cost of living. But the wife had a hard time. Well, now the wife's saying, basically, if this ever happens, we're going back. And if you don't like it, we're getting divorced. I kid you not. So this guy is writing into me, as well as you guys, for advice on how to handle this situation. And I'll be very going to go over here, guys, making the point that ultimatums, not cool. You sit down and talk about things, don't give ultimatums. And if your wife gives you an ultimatum, or your girlfriend, you understand this, guys, that if you cave to the ultimatum, there will be many more ultimatums to come. Because she'll learn that she can bully you, and it's going to get worse and worse. And also with that, she's going to lose respect for you for putting up with her crap. Additionally, remember, guys, another lesson is not only do you pay attention to who your girl's family is when you first start dating her, for their characteristics and what they're like and the dynamics, you also got to pay attention to things like if there's a special need child in the family, that could become a responsibility of yours one day. Because I'm all for taking care of family and being loyal and helpful and doing what you can, so long as that family's good to you and all that. So in this situation, he started dating her and saw she had a special needs sister. And guess what? That's going to become a responsibility on his plate, impacting his life. So it's very important to remember these things as you're... And if you don't want to deal with that, guys, you're dating a girl and she's cool, and she has a special needs sibling that may be your problem one day if you got really serious with her, you might want to back away. Nothing against her or the special needs family member, but you don't just want to deal with that. So anyhow, guys, a long intro here, but I'm going to go into a story and hopefully we can help him out. So it says here, hey SSM, I have a unique situation that I wanted to run by you and the community. I'm looking for perspective on a situation in my marriage that's completely hypothetical at the moment, but could certainly become something I'm faced with in the future. This isn't a cheating story, so I will explain. My wife and I have been together for over 10 years. We met when I was living on the West Coast. She is born and raised there and comes from a very tight-knit family. Though sometimes they're too close because they feel very entitled to interject their opinions in various aspects of our lives. Well, you can then respond, thank you for your opinion, but this is my family and I'll do what I want. This came into play a few years ago when we decided to move to the Midwest. This was primarily driven by both cost of living as well as the political landscape. I refuse to live in a state with terrible gun laws where criminals basically act with immunity. Safety is my number one concern as the man of the house, so it was time to get out. This broke my heart because as a kid I always wanted to live there. It's terrible to see what it's become, but I absolutely hate it there now. That's such a shame to see a place that was once beautiful and a great place to live, and families could walk around, go on the street, go to parks, all that turning into a shithole. But we all know darn well when certain politicians think certain laws, lackadaisical laws on crime and stuff like that's a good idea, look what happens. He doesn't say where he's from, but West Coast, you can speculate California, Oregon, and Washington State, and from what I've heard and observed in some things, yeah, not surprised. But you did what you had to do to take care of your family, and that's a good decision. But gentlemen, his wife didn't like moving away to the Midwest. Well, the move was not easy. My wife and her family often makes comments like, when are you going to move home? And when are you flying back to see us? This has been extremely frustrating because practically zero attempt has been made on their end to come visit us. Tell them to get on a fucking plane. Come on here. It goes both ways. The expectation has been that we will make all the visits. This continued after the birth of our daughter 3 years ago, and only amplified this constant tension. My wife and I had arguments about it, but she's finally been embracing the move, making friends, and seems to like it here. Keyword seems. That's a brief background. Now here's the problem. Okay, now we're getting into it, guys. My wife has a sister who is 19 years old with special needs. She needs a lot of care. She needs a lot of care and attention. During the weekdays, she's involved in a state-paid social program, and after school, a nurse comes to the house to help administer medication and other things in the evening. My mother-in-law and her husband, the stepdad, take care of her, and it's a massive responsibility. It sounds like a massive responsibility, but she's their daughter, and they love her, and yeah. It's not the daughter or the sister's fault for how things are. It is what it is. When we first started dating 10 years ago and got serious, my wife mentioned her sister would live with us one day when her mom passes away, which I was okay with. I assumed she would just live with us whenever we ended up. So, okay, when you started dating 10 plus years ago, you're saying it here, you were fully aware of the sister, and that one day, potentially or likely, she was going to come live with you. That's a big deal. Think about it, guys, to have... You're married and you're raising a family, and then your wife's sister or a family relative comes to live with you and requires a lot of special attention and all that. That's a lot to take in. So you knew what you were getting into. This is, again, why I caution you guys about these things in the dating process. But you're a good guy because you're taking care of family, and I respect that so long as you're being respected. Well, with ultimatums, your wife's not respecting you. Now listen to this. Well, the other day, my wife and I were having a hypothetical discussion. Bro, it was not hypothetical. She planned this shit out. About taking care of her sister if something were to happen to her mom. But it wasn't much of a discussion. She flat out said we would be moving back near her family if something were to happen to her mom. That she would not pull her sister away from her programs and that her other special needs friends. The type of condition her sister has makes it very difficult dealing with changes in routines, so we would have to uproot our lives to move there for her. Well, dude, something tells me something happened. Either your wife got some news, like maybe her mom is ill, her number's up soon, something like that, so this is fresh in her head. Or your wife is passive-aggressively getting back at you for making her move to fucking, the heartland of America. It seems like an ultimatum. It is. And that's unacceptable. She can come to you and talk to you about this. That if I'm not on board, then I have a decision to make, which basically boils down to either moving to a state that I hate, where we can't defend ourselves from the growing crime, and have my daughter grow up in a liberal shithole, or divorce her and split up our family. Well, again, that ain't cool. That's wrong. You talk about things, not this ultimatum shit. You obviously you talked about it with your wife, but you said this is what I want to do, and we're going to do as a family because you're a leader, because the man leads. I'm sure she got emotional and everything like that, but you did the right thing. But her emotions are doing all the thinking here. Her sister, her family, blah, 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 blah. This is why the men have to fucking lead. But you still talk about these things. For context, my wife is incredible, and we've had a very strong relationship since day one. Well, she's not being very incredible right now. No bullshit, no red flags, very strong sex life. She supports everything I do. I'm not blind to the fact that bullshit can always pop up, though. When you're dealing with women, bullshit's always going to pop up. The same way with small children and children, bullshit's going to pop up. And yes, I'm comparing them because both have supercharged emotions about things, and, not that men can't be emotional, but you know what I mean. I've watched enough R-pill content to know anything can change at any time, but so far so good. Until this fucking ultimatum she gave you. I'm in a very mixed bag of thoughts and feelings on this. I understand, and let me start over. I'm understanding of the fact that I knew taking care of her sister was possible when we first started dating. Good, I'm glad you're owning that, because that was on you, man. But this whole mandate that it be in her home state doesn't seem fair. We bought a house and have lives here. As a protector of our family, I don't want my daughter or wife anywhere near that state. If you go to the local Target there, and it's a grungy-looking people walking around in pajamas. There's a park about 200 yards away from her mom's house where someone had been raped, and a separate incident where someone was shot there. The area is going downhill. It's absolutely expensive, too. Our Midwest house would cost $2 million there. Isn't that the crazy part? You're spending a fortune on housing and everything else, particularly housing, and it's a fucking shithole. Yeah, great job to those that make the laws, and you know what I mean there. It's fucking sad. This is why I got out of Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts is nothing. There are shitty parts of Massachusetts. I lived in a nice part of Massachusetts, but still, I could see just a big picture where things were going, and that's why I came down to Florida. Of course, no place is perfect. Florida has their issues too, but holy crap, the pros vastly outweigh the cons coming to here. I love it here. Except now, it's hot as a motherfucker out. Next 4 months, holy fucking shit. That's why I do my videos at a certain time of the day now because, goddamn, it's hot. Anyhow, back to the story. My stepsister has taken years to become comfortable doing simple things like going to the mall. So I somewhat feel like an a-hole for wanting her to move across the country in this situation, but I would hope she could adapt. This all just feels like an emotional response to want to drop everything and move back. It is an emotional response, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Yes, her family could help out, but we can make it work here. I'm sure her family would flip out at the scenario. Of course they would, because her mother runs the show. The stepdad's obviously a follower. They're all emotional. Your wife's emotional. You're the one that has to be the rock. And if you're willing to have her sister come live with you and take on the responsibility, the sister can do something. If the sister can go to the fucking mall, she can, obviously doesn't have to be in this, closed-in environment where everything's controlled. The irony is in all this that my wife's stepdad wants to move here too, but his wife won't allow it. He's a pussy. So even he feels like she could adapt. At the beginning, I said this was hypothetical, so hopefully we don't have to cross this bridge for a long time, but it's certainly possible that we will. My mother-in-law is young, but she also took a certain medical procedure that millions of others took over the last 5 years. Hint, hint. Oh, yes. So that worries me a lot. I can't shake this uneasy feeling. My wife wants reassurance from me that this will be okay no matter what. But I'm just so numb right now, I don't know what to think. Thanks for reading, and I hope to gain some kind of perspective on this from you and everyone's comments. Oh, brother, you're going to get a lot of comments, that I can tell you. So, before my face melts off here like the bad guys at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they opened the Ark of the Covenant, I'm going to say this. You're the leader, and you got the family out of that mysterious West Coast state, which we don't know. We're all speculating what it is for a reason. To protect your family because things are going to hell in a handbasket. Good for you, and you're the leader now. Clearly something's going on. Either wife's passive-aggressive about moving there, and now this is her way of giving an ultimatum to get her power back. She probably watched some feminist fucking videos or something. Or maybe there's something going on that you don't know about with your mother-in-law and all that. The bottom line is this, is that, yes, when you start dating, you were aware she had a special needs sister, and then you would take her in. A lot of guys wouldn't have done that, wouldn't have stayed on with the girl, married her, knowing that. I wouldn't have, but that doesn't mean, everybody, to each their own. But you're a good guy and you're taking care of family, fine. But it is a hell of a lot to ask you, demand of you with an ultimatum that not only are you going to move the sister in and take care of her, but and pick up and move away from where you're building a life now to back to an area that is declining constantly, a shithole. The safety's in question. You worry about your daughter. No, that's ridiculous. So if it were me, I wouldn't let this thing linger. I would wait. This is me. Not that I'd be in this fucking situation, but if this was me in this fucking situation, I would pick a day where, say a weekend, where your wife doesn't have to work, she's not distracted by emails or phone calls or texts work-wise, where your daughter's away, like at a birthday party or something, whatever, and your wife and you are at home, and you can talk about this once and for all. And in my opinion, you meet her halfway. Say, okay, here's the deal. Your sister, we started dating, knew one day could be a strong possibility she's living with us, and I'm okay with that. Her moving in, taking care of and all that, and I'm for that. But what I'm not for is moving back to wherever the hell that was. And probably at that moment, your wife's going to throw an emotion-based, childlike temper tantrum. And I might add in that moment, the second she starts flying off the handle, which she probably will, if she's unwilling to communicate like a freaking adult, I get in the car and leave. Come back later on, and then you start talking about it again. And if she again, you get in the car and leave. And this time maybe stay at night at somebody's house or at a hotel or something like that, making it clear that if she's not willing to have a conversation like a fucking adult, you're going to walk. And teaching her who's the fucking running the show here. And when she finally comes down, again, you can talk about the compromise. And I would also make it very clear to her, listen, we're a family. You have something you're very upset about, worried about, or it's important to you. We sit down and we talk about it. You do not give me ultimatums. You can go so far as to say, because you say you obviously don't want to get a divorce. You obviously love her up until this point because she's given you reason to do so, and don't want to break up the family. I would say to her, look, I get it's emotional. I get you're worried. I get all that, but you don't come to me with an ultimatum. That's not how we operate. Period. And if that's going to happen, that's going to have a major problem with our, And at this point, when she submits, because every time she throws temper tantrum, and you leave, every time she throws a tantrum, you're going to fucking walk. She's learned, and she submits to have a rational conversation. Imagine that. And you make it clear, this ultimatum crap ain't going to fly. Don't ever do that again. And you make it clear. And at that point, then, as she calms down and will meet you halfway, shows that you mean business, you're not messing around, because she wants you to be a man, she wants you to be a leader, even though they throw temper tantrums and all that nonsense, which I can't imagine what you guys fucking deal with. And then you agree on that plan. If she doesn't, and basically, nope, no matter what, she's being a fucking miserable, unreasonable tyrant, then at that point then it's time to plan the exit strategy, my man, and talk to a fucking lawyer, find out your options. I don't want that to happen to you, but I don't like this ultimatum shit that she's doing here. That ain't good. Because if you do go along with her ultimatum, that if you have such a fear of breaking up the family and not seeing your daughter, and you go along with this, I swear, God damn, it's fucking hot here. I swear to God that the ultimatums will not stop. Because she will lose respect for you as a man. She'll see you as a pussy. She'll probably see you just like her stepdad. And there'll be more shit. You'll be miserable because she's acting like a bitch. You won't be getting laid anymore. She'll probably put on 30 pounds. You'll be going back to the West Coast before you know it. And there you go. You got to lead. You got to be strong. Women must know that you're not going to take their crap. And you got to be a rock and by the way, when she's throwing a temper tantrum, every fiber of your being is going to want to argue and fight with her. Don't do it. As hard as that is. You gotta be the rock. Let her behave like a fucking child, even though it's ridiculous. And that's that. And because if you go along with her plan, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But remember, guys, I've said this a bazillion times. I'll say it again. Women have to know that if they push you too far, you're going to walk. End of story. Because they will never truly respect you. Women love the bad boys. We all know this. You've seen this probably in your lives many times, guys. Bad boys don't have no problem losing the chick. She throws a tantrum and doesn't get her way, because chicks will throw tantrums to bad boys too. And I think they do it on purpose to see what the bad boys will do, because the bad boys will put them in their place. Bad boys walk. They're like, whatever, I'll lose you in a heartbeat. You have to be prepared to lose everything, to stick to your code, to not be pushed around, not be bullied. So that's what you got to do. Again, or shall I say, that's what I would do in the situation, given what you're describing here. So, bro, don't let this linger. Today is Memorial Day, so enjoy Memorial Day, but probably see if you can somehow ship the daughter off to a friend's house or something this coming weekend, and sit your wife down and have this conversation. But be prepared for her emotions to go crazy and all rational thought go right out the fucking door and everything like that. Don't let her bully you. And if it gets crazy, like I said, get in the car, go for a drive, come back later. If she continues on, same thing until she submits and has a conversation like an adult. And you make these things clear. You'll meet her halfway, but you ain't moving, anything like that, and see where it goes. So I wish you the best. And if she still is acting like an asshole and has become a little dictator, time to look at the big picture, because life is short. Like I said, I've speculated you're in your 30s. You got your whole life ahead of you, man. There you go. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please let this guy know what you think. And you guys been in a situation like this, let him know what you did, how you handled it, and all that. Things I haven't thought of yet, please interject in the comment section, because we want to help a guy out here. I don't want him to get fucking divorced, but I understand. It is what it is. They are emotional beings. It is what it fucking is, even though it's annoying. And she's worried about her sister and all that. But I still think there's some passive-aggressive shit going on here. And that ain't cool. And I don't want this guy to get divorced, because he doesn't want that. So we can hopefully help him to handle it, navigate the situation. But if it gets too far, then we have to help him plan to get the fuck out of Dodge and do it as unscathed as possible. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.